How you doing? I'm going to have to go back here because I can't see you all from the floor, and I can't stand in front of this. This is a beautiful altar again by Isabel. Lighthouse here, so we'll follow the lighthouse. So how's everybody doing? There's a lot of stuff here, right? So I love these two chapters. It's like really the meat. So if you haven't read it, you can see I couldn't decide how much of the book I pulled out and put in here. There was a lot of stuff. The print kept getting smaller and smaller. I said, oh, I gotta, and I even eliminated some of the stuff. So there's really good stuff. In fact, I will read some of the stuff that I eliminated because it's just really good stuff. And I think it's really helpful because, you know, who here wants to be a living mystic? Come on, there you go, right? Yeah, we want to live, we want to be a living mystic. We want to, all those things that we're told, that all the mystics from all the world's traditions, they had a way of knowing, right? And they knew of some things through their tradition that they had. We have something wonderful at this time in humanity that we have the capacity to know a bit of psychology along with our spirituality. So the psycho-spiritual aspect of healing and getting to that place of really knowing comes in a lot with this book, but yet he's talking about ancient Hindu traditions, ancient Buddhist traditions, and if you really look at all the mystic aspects also of the Judeo-Christian traditions, the reason why I like that song, Heart as Wide as the World, when we add in the Hebrew in there, Hineni, Ozai, Aksmin, El Kavod, Shekinah, right? And that's, transform. We're asking for that Shekinah, that Holy Spirit, that feminine aspect of the divine to move through us and shift us and change us. And this whole reading that we were talking about today is all about moving the energy. So he started the book in the first chapter asking, who are you, right? If we take who we are, and like our beautiful altar here, and not to make it any less than what it is, but we're going to utilize it, it's become like me, the person, me, my body, me, my beautiful insides, the nice trimmings I have on myself, all of the stuff of my family, all of the things. And now I become the altar rather than this beautiful divine light that's shining through and wants to come and experience life. I get stuck here, right? All energy gets stuck here in my identification of who I am, right? So last week we opened up our thymus, right? We started to activate, we started to recognize, wait, I'm not this, I'm the energy that passes through that. I'm the energy that's just utilizing that and living in that. So in this next chapter, he talks about the heart being that center, and the heart is amazing. It feels, it's there, but we get caught up in our heart. Our heart feels something, we say, that's me. I am the feelings. I'm caught in, I'm in the big hurt. I'm caught in all that. And he says, no, that's just something that's coming through the heart. Let the heart play that. The piano's a beautiful instrument, and it plays the music. Let the music play. Let it go through. Don't stop it. Don't keep playing the same chord. Right? But energy, if we look at energy and what it is and what it does, it always has to move. Energy always has to move. So we go down into little particles. The particles have to move. But if we get stuck on things, we don't let things move. You said that to me. You hurt me. You did to me. Right? But they did it, or stuff, right, did it to this. Right? So it all got stuck in there. So where does the energy go? Well, even in its most atomic particles, if the energy can't go anywhere, it can't move, it just keeps going in circles. So it spins around itself. Little stories keep spinning around themselves. They're stuck in there, and they're spinning, and they're spinning. And we're the great disc jockey. This one today, this one tomorrow, move this one in. Which little album are we going to spin today of stuck energy that we're getting all caught up in? Instead of allowing this beautiful light to come flowing through and experiencing, we're experiencing the yellows and the blues and the purples, and we're just being in that energy and flowing in it. No, we're stuck here, replaying it, and it hurts. And it stops us from being those pure channels of that amazing meditation today, right? Another psychological aspect that we learn about. That because those things hurt, because that energy, we caught onto it, we took other aspects of energy to help hold it in place. It's like molecules come together, right? Hydrogen and oxygen come together to make water. So we have these other parts of ourselves that come in and say, well, I'm going to protect you now. And I'm going to make sure that never happens again. And so when energy comes in my life, I'll get stuck because this other part will make sure it adds to the pile that's now in my heart that's preventing me to be this pure child. Let's say we have a situation where something happens in your childhood and you feel like, oh, I'm really not as appreciated as other people in my family. Right? So that's hurtful. It feels sad. And so it gets blocked in there. So the protector comes in and says, I'll protect you. I'll be really good at pointing out everything that's wrong with everybody else. We're like, oh, that's good. That's good. I'm safe now. Right? I don't have to feel that pain of not feeling like I matter. Right? Because I can be busy pointing out everybody else. But all I'm doing is putting more stuck energy on top of stuck energy. And then when everybody's out there, oh, it's a glorious day. Oh, let's pray and let's sing joyously and feel the love of God. No, I can't. Nothing really happening here. I'm trying. I'm singing. I'm doing it. But why is it really not moving through me? I'm blocked. I'm blocked. This is what he says in the chapter. Sound good so far? Yeah. Anybody can relate so far? Yes. All right, all these different things that go on. And it's not so simple. I mean, I'm simplifying it, but it's not so simple. But yet it is simple if we take it a little bit at a time. And he gives wonderful examples in the book about, driving in your car and just, really taking it, because that's what our energy systems are for. They're here to take it all in. Oh, wow, that's a beautiful sky. That's an amazing tree. That's, and we're feeling it. We're experiencing it. We're getting into that energy of that, and we're really having a good, but then something comes by and will trigger and stop. Stop that experience right away. Something will come up that will trigger a memory that will bring us back to all those block pieces, and now we're not in the moment, we're not in the day, we're in that old story. Back to the disc jockey job, right? Spinning the old records of the old song. So the process that he's asking us to come to and learn about more in the book is allowing, when we catch these things, is allowing them to be really present with them. And that's scary. I don't go back to that hurt of feeling like I didn't matter, but we have to. That's when I talk about the pain of it. I gotta go back to that. I gotta unstick it. And the way that I do that is I sit with it in a safe space. Allow it to be. And it shifts and it moves. That's what all this is about. Moving it. Moving it. Over and over again. It's just the same process. But the more we can get ourselves in practice of being still so that we can hear what's going on in our minds, the more we can meet those clear channels. So I have a lot of things that I put in there in the words of wisdom that talk about this over and over again. He says, of course it hurts when it comes up. It's stored pain. It's going to release with pain. If we relax and release, this purification of your heart is a wonderful thing. And so the next chapter, in chapter 7, he goes on and he talks about it. You know, it was a natural process too, survival of the fittest, right? That, you know, in identifying yourself as a body and then trying to survive in the world, and you remember those survival mechanisms, and then we survived in the wilderness and all those things. But we're not doing survival things like that anymore in our lives, thank God. That's not where we're at.
We're not?
No, we're not. We're not doing those basic, you know, survival things. We're doing psychological survival things. That's what we're spending our energy on. And that's what we spend all our attention on. Right? We think it is the other thing, but it's really not. Because it all comes back to, what do you think of me? What do I think of myself? Me perpetuating this concept of self rather than allowing that free spirit and that open connection that's really meant to be. So in here, that's that first part that Reverend JoAnn read, that it's our daily need to defend our self-concepts rather than our bodies. We're saying that our major struggles end up being our own inner fears, insecurities, and destructive behavior patterns, not the outside forces. So, you know, what happens is, and we're talking about when he says the outside is all that's the stuff. It's what happens, what we do with it on the inside. This is not about controlling the world. This is not about changing the world. And all the great mystics talk about it. Don't worry about changing everybody else. Worry about changing ourselves. Right? That's what they all tell us over and over again. So let me just read this one part out of the book, because how many are reading it? Okay, so it's not enough to not read this. So this is really good. I have it on hardcover, I have it on, a book form, and then I have it on this iPad, but I can make it all kinds of colors on the iPad. Okay. Let's see which chapter I'm in here, because this is where he's telling us, when we just all said that we want to be, okay. The alternative is to enjoy life instead of clinging or pushing it away. Because he says we also do it with the positive things in our life, right? Oh, that's the feel-good thing. The way they're going to feel good is to always do that thing again. We can feel good millions of ways. But we pick and choose the only ways that are going to make us feel good and the only things that are going to make us feel good. And that's the thing that we keep coming back to. And then we cling on those things, trying to make the good feelings rather than just allowing ourselves to be open. So he says, if you can live like that, meaning just allowing things to move through us, each moment will change you. If you are willing to experience the gift of life instead of fighting with it, you will be moved to the depth of your being. When you reach this state, you will begin to see the secrets of the heart. Your heart is the place through which energy flows to sustain you. This energy inspires you and raises you. It is the strength that carries you through life. It is the beautiful experience of love that pours through your whole being. This is meant to be going on inside of you at all times. The highest state you have ever experienced is simply the result of how open you were. If you don't close, it can be like that all the time. He says, don't sell yourself short. This can go on all the time. Unending inspiration, unending love, unending openness. That is the natural state of a healthy heart. Woo! Right? Can you hear that? Is your thymus going? This is something good. This is something good. Really listen to this. Really get this in. Get this in. Let it. He says, just let it all happen. Go with it. Don't process them one by one. That's too slow. Stay centered behind them and let go. That's when we talk about praising and hallelujah. And that's when we're really letting go. That's when we're really letting go. He said, just like the physical body purges bacteria and and other foreign matter, the natural flow of your energy will purge the stored patterns from your heart. Your reward is a permanently open heart. There is no more value. You live in love, and it feeds you and strengthens you. How does that sound so far? Good? Right? This is like really cool stuff. So he says, begin by seeing the tendency to protect and defend yourself. There is a very deep, innate tendency to close. Okay, so this is something very real that we're working with here. A very deep, innate tendency to close, especially around your soft spots. But eventually, you will notice that closing creates tremendous work. If you are exhausted at the end of the day, you have probably spent the whole day closing off your heart. That's why they tell us, if you are too busy to meditate, meditate longer. Because in that meditation process, you're opening your heart. You're tuning into that energy. You will have more energy to get the things done that you need to do and to live your life and to have the greatest experience in your life that you're meant to have. Simple. He says, once you close, you have made sure that what you protected doesn't get disturbed. You then carry this task for the rest of your life. The alternative is to become conscious. And conscious enough to simply watch the part of your being that is constantly trying to protect itself. You can then give yourself the ultimate gift by deciding not to do that anymore. Go figure, it's just a decision when you're conscious to recognize it. Every place you go, there's someone or something trying to disturb you. That's what happens. Trying to get you go. Don't be surprised. Why not let them have it? You can have my goat. Why should I keep it? Let them have it. If you don't really want it, then don't protect it. Right? Protecting it means you spin your energy around it, holding it in. Now it's yours. And you got to hold on to it. He said spiritual growth is about the point at which you start to feel your energy change. For instance, somebody says something and you start to feel the energy get a little strange. Oh, that didn't feel good. I don't like what happened here, right? You will actually start to feel the tightening. This is your cue that it's time to grow. It's not time to defend yourself. Because insanity is, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It's your time to grow. It's not time to defend yourself because you don't want the part of you that you would be defending. You don't want it. What do? We let it go. So it is the consciousness, the indwelling being, the soul, the self. It is the seer, the one who sees. The changes you experience in your inner energy flow are simply objects of this consciousness. Okay? It's a wise person remains centered enough to let go every time the energy shifts into a defensive mode. The moment the energy moves and you feel your consciousness start to get drawn into it, relax and release. Now it's going to tell you a big story. It's going to scare you. It's going to tell you, watch out. I'm going to get you. Let it happen. If that fear comes in, let it flow. Relax and release. This is painful. Relax and release. I'm getting scared. Relax and release. Letting go means falling behind the energy, not stuck in it. See, we fall behind it. I'm back on that, in that beautiful glass. I'm falling behind this stuff. It just takes a moment of conscious effort to decide that you're not going there. You just let go. Simple matter of taking the risk that you are better off letting go and going with that energy. And you're free. You're free. just a moment, just a decision. Nothing, once you make that decision, nothing will be able to take your seat of consciousness from you. Remember last week I said, do not let anything allow you to close up your heart. We're going deeper with it now. You'll learn to stay there. After you put years and years into this process and learn to let go, no matter how deep the pain, you will achieve a great state. You will break the ultimate habit, the constant draw of the lower self, and you will then be free to explore the nature and source of your true being. Pure consciousness. To live and breathe in that ultimate divinity of you. There's more to go. Stay tuned. And so it is.